All right, we all think we know the legend of the deal with the devil, right? But what if I told you a rejected fragment from the ancient archives reveals a shocking, and I mean shocking, inversion? Get ready, because this is a story not about a soul that was lost, but about one that wasn't even worth taking. It's probably one of the oldest, heaviest questions there is. I mean, think about it for a second. If you could trade your soul for anything, what would it be? What is so impossibly valuable that it's worth, well, everything? For centuries, the answer to that question was always something huge. The legends who made these pacts, guys like Dr. Faustus, they didn't think small. They wanted to bend the universe to their will, unlock all of its secrets, or just live 1,000 lifetimes in one. They wanted greatness, and they didn't care about the price tag. But here's the unsettling idea at the very heart of this ancient fragment. What if the currency is flipped? What if the modern soul wants something so completely opposite to that classic bargain that hell itself just says, no thanks? That right there is the inversion we're going to dig into. Okay, so let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this inversion, we first have to master the original contract. What was it that made the classic Faustian bargain so powerful? Really, it all boiled down to one word: ambition. And you can see the two perfect examples right here. On one side, you've got Marlowe's Faustus, who's just driven by this raw, primal hunger for power and pleasure. He's ready to burn it all down just to break past human limits. And on the other, you have Goethe's Faust, who's on a quest to experience the absolute fullness of life itself, all the highs, all the lows. The motives are different, for sure, but they're both fueled by this world-shaking ambition. And that perfectly captures the engine behind that classic deal, what these old texts call the spirit of becoming. It's that core human drive to grow, to create, to risk a total catastrophic fall for just one shot at touching greatness. That spirit, that willingness to put it all on the line, that was the only currency hell ever really cared about. Okay, so now let's see how that entire idea gets completely turned on its head. The archives talk about another text, a forbidden piece of the story, one that lays out a deal so bizarre, so completely against that spirit of becoming, that it was basically buried. And there it is, the central, mind-blowing premise of this whole Faustian inversion. The forbidden text claims the ultimate modern deal isn't for power or knowledge or some grand experience. It's for absolute, unending, infinite safety. But here's the real twist. It isn't just about what this new kind of soul wants. It's about how hell reacts. The fragment argues that this modern soul isn't turned away because it's too good or too righteous. No, it's rejected because it's too empty, too timid, just too hollow to even catch fire. So, to really understand this upside-down bargain, we have to meet the guy who came up with it. He's a figure from the archives known as Salvio Pollido, or the Pale Redeemer. Polydor is basically the anti-Faust. He's not looking to transcend limits, he's looking to build walls around them. He's the high priest of a world with zero risk, what the text calls the polished floor. You see, his holy trinity isn't faith, hope, and charity. It's safety, comfort, and stagnation. He isn't selling his soul for a kingdom, he's trading it in for an insurance policy against life itself. Now, this forbidden text doesn't frame this as some simple backroom deal. No, it's presented as a trial, a whole cosmic hearing before what it calls the Council of Inferno. The scene kicks off with Satan, the red judge of power, who's basically expecting another classic sinner to walk in. He's ready to make a deal, He's looking for a soul that just crackles with that ambition, that desire to reshape the world. He's ready to offer everything for a soul that burns. But right away, Beelzebub, the Lord of Decay, he senses something is deeply wrong. This soul, it doesn't smell of sin or rebellion or anything interesting. It smells of preservation, like something sterile, and Beelzebub's diagnosis is just chilling. Palido hasn't been trapped in a cage, he's carefully built one inside of himself. And then you get the final judgment from Lucifer, the literal embodiment of pride. Lucifer, the one who fell because he'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven, he looks at Palido and sees the exact opposite. A soul that doesn't want to conquer or command, but to be kept. A soul that doesn't want to be a god, but a pet.
And when Polito finally gets to speak, his plea confirms everything. He flat out rejects everything the council values. Power? No thanks. That involves the agony of creation. Striving? Too risky. Might fail. He hasn't come to bargain for more. He's come to surrender what little he has to begin with.
And this is his one demand. This is the heart of his inverted contract. He asks them to remove all risk, all challenge from existence, to take the tightrope, that age-old symbol of greatness and danger, and just lower it until it's nothing but a painted line on the polished floor. No risk, no fall, and absolutely no glory. So this brings us to the council's final, truly shocking verdict. After hearing this plea for a life completely scrubbed clean of any challenge, how does the ultimate court of sin respond? The judgment is just absolute. Hell's currency is the stuff of epic tragedy and rebellion. They want the rebels' pride, the tragic hero's fall, that ambitious spirit of becoming. What Palido is offering is the exact opposite, a slave morality that puts comfort above freedom, a sterile soul, and a spirit that holds greatness in contempt. It's worthless to them. And so Satan delivers the ultimate insult. This whole philosophy, it's not even grand enough for the fires of damnation. It's actually beneath sin. It's not worthy of punishment. It's just management. It's a boring, bureaucratic, and utterly uninteresting way to be. So why does any of this matter? I mean, it's just an obscure parable from a rejected text, right? Well, the archivist who found it argues that Polito's vision isn't just a story, it's a mirror, and it might be reflecting a world that we're building for ourselves right now. The parable suggests that our modern marketplace of distractions creates a kind of gilded cage. We get offered endless comfort, sure, but the cost is meaningful struggle. We become our own internal jesters, constantly distracting ourselves, blunting the sharp edges of our own souls until all that's left staring back from the mirror is stagnation. And that is Salvio Palido's true fate. His hell isn't fire and brimstone. No, he's rejected by hell and simply remains. He goes nowhere. His real damnation is an endless, motionless existence spent building a world where the risk of being great is considered too expensive. Which leaves us with one final, unavoidable question. In a world that offers us the comfort of that polished floor, a world that quietly tells us greatness is too expensive, who's going to dare to walk the wire? Who will be brave enough to shatter that mirror?